We're talking to Colonel Brown and Captain Capel of the United States Air Force and the Navy about some of the things dealing with the Reserve Officers Training Corps. And of course, Colonel Brown, before we had our break and during this final segment, let's talk about the academies, and not the academies, but the ROTC, and some of the opportunities that they have provided for not only African Americans but other groups as well. Sort of give us a demographical explanation of.
Well, let me start by saying that the Air Force has done some studies, and in the out years, we're looking 20 years out, we see that the makeup of the Air Force is going to change drastically. It's going to become more diverse. And as a result of that, the Air Force is right now trying to bone up by giving out more scholarships to minority individuals. We want more African-American pilots, more African-American officers. So as a result, we're working very hard to make that happen. We're just pouring money into these areas. Normally, to get an Air Force ROTC scholarship, as I said before, you need to have a technical degree. But the Air Force is saying, we don't care what kind of degree you have. If you're a minority student and you want to become an Air Force officer, as long as you have the grades and can pass the test that we have for you, we want you to be a part of this organization. So they're just going out really hard trying to make this happen. I tell my students who are at Tennessee State that, the African-American students, look, if you just think about this, 30 years ago, there was a guy by the name of Fig Newton, Lord Fig Newton, who was sitting here in this detachment, and now he is the 4-star general in charge of all the Air Force Education and Training Command, some 57,000 strong. This guy has done everything that you can possibly do in the Air Force, and now he's a leader among leaders. And I tell them that they can do this, if they can project in their minds that, hey, I can do this, I can think positively about myself and about the Air Force, they can make this happen for themselves.
And there are opportunities, Captain Capel.
There are. We're talking about Vanderbilt and TSU, but throughout the United States, there's roughly 66 institutions where the Naval ROTC is located, and they also have crosstown agreements with various schools. The Naval ROTC is at Morehouse, it's Savannah State, and we are looking for minorities as well, because we understand that the makeup of the service is as the country, and you need that diversity, you need those ideas, you need to understand, and the only way to understand is to work shoulder to shoulder with someone and find out that they are human and have all those attributes. So we need that, we recognize the need for it. We work very hard towards achieving some goals. I wouldn't go so far as to say quotas, but we have some goals, and they're the right kind of goals that we have. Commissionees for the Naval Service come from various locations. We've talked about the Naval Academy, that's one source, and I know they're working in a similar vein to encourage minorities, as we are in the ROTC program. We also have an officer candidate program where, like I mentioned earlier, if you finish college and you say, I think I really would like to go in the service and serve my country, and I'd like to do it in this particular branch, we have that opportunity through Officer Candidate School. And again, there we're looking for the opportunity to encourage all people to join and be part of the organization.
I think over the last 2 minutes that we have here, Colonel Brown, let's think in terms of the things that you're doing on a national scale that's helping the nation in a real sense. Certainly you're educating people to become involved in the AFROCT, the Naval ROTC, but how far does that really go in terms of your activities and the activities of people similarly situated as the two of you are situated?
Well, you look at the Air Force ROTC program and the Navy program, what we are all about are putting young men and women into the Air Force, into the Navy, so that they can do the job. As everything changes, so there are people who are going to be retiring like myself and Les, we're going to be retiring. We have to have these young kids with sharper minds to come on board to take over the responsibility of leading our country's services. And that's what we're about. I mean, we're trying to keep this Air Force the strongest, best in the world. And we do that by bringing on board outstanding young men and women.
Captain Capel, I think you mentioned that you fly off carriers and whatnot. What if some young person might be watching this morning, or some person might be watching this morning and might be interested in becoming involved in such a risky activity? What would you tell them this morning?
Well, I'd say try as hard as you can in school, get the grades, be committed to it, stay physically fit, a balanced life. see your recruiter, get into the NROTC program, or if you're in college now, certainly go down and talk with the recruiter or call me, and we'll steer you in the right direction. I can't say enough good about aviation. If I get started on that, I won't be able to stop.
Well, is there any specific area that they ought to be concentrate upon in terms of their study if they wish to fly?
Not actually. We have a propensity towards people who have technical majors, but that's not an absolute requirement. There is no hard and fast requirement. We just like to bring people in because of the technology that's existing out there. Being able to talk to a chief about how the engine works, being able to talk to a petty officer or seaman how to fix a particular piece of electronics. Because as a division officer, you're not only a pilot, but you're in charge of seeing that the work gets done.
Very good. And let me, over the last 30 seconds that we have here, Colonel Brown and Captain Capel, thank the two of you for coming by and giving us that excellent information about the Air Force ROTC program at Tennessee State University and the Naval ROTC program at Vanderbilt University, and the relationship between those two institutions and what you're able to do in terms of preparing young men to face the challenges of tomorrow. And we certainly appreciate that information. And let me encourage you to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.